Thank you, Chair. And good afternoon, Minister. I might direct my first few questions to the Commissioner, though, if that's okay, with regard to the announcement in June last year that Western Plains would initially open with 600 beds. And I understand, and by the presentation then, 1,000 beds are due to come online, so there must be that other 300 coming. Can you confirm when those beds will be available?
So Western Plains will open in July and it will ramp up to the 665 beds over a 4 or 5 month period, and then we will turn on the other remaining 2 communities to get to the 312, so by the end of this calendar year.
By the end of this year, all 900 of those beds will be online?
The 665 and the 312, yes, if that adds up to.
Is Western Plains Correctional Facility fully operational? And how many inmates are being housed, and when did Western Plains first start taking prisoners?
Western Plains has some prisoners that are there temporarily. It is a gazetted prison, so we moved some men from the management unit Olearia at Barwon Prison to Western Plains in early April in response to concerns about Olearia and the unit in Olearia, where we undertake thorough testing of that unit. So we do have 20 men at Western Plains that will return to Barwon when that unit has gone through the investigations, and we've addressed the recommendations coming out of that. And we did on Monday move 41 men from Hoya Protection Unit to Western Plains, just while we put in new heating. That was maintenance that needed to be done, and the advice was we couldn't install the heating safely with men in it because the crane had to deliver the heating unit. So they will be due to return back to Barwon on Friday.
Benham, you may be aware it was also used during the Langi Kalkal, the fires in Beaufort. Yep. So we transferred people in and out. There was also a much bigger exercise than Barwon, which is across the road. So it is being used, and it's being used as a training facility as well.
So is it fully functional at the moment, as far as phones, prisoners have access to their property? Is it a fully functional?
So yes, the men in Olearia have phones, they have access to their property, they have their Zoom visits. Olearia men are on a separated regime, so it's a restricted regime. The men that are coming from Hoya have access to their services in Western Plains for the 5 days.
So those men that came from, the 20 men that came from Barwon, is that because of alleged gas leaks within Barwon Prison?
That was because of concern about staff not feeling well in Olearia over about 3 different incidents, and us needing to evacuate the unit and thoroughly check what was going on in Olearia. We are still waiting the report from the occupational hygienist who's been doing that investigation.
Okay, so you can't expand on what the other issues were?
It was to do with concern about the unit and staff reporting not feeling well, and hence getting the occupational hygienist to review.
When is all that due to be rectified?
We hope to get the report within the next week, and then we'll work through with the workforce and WorkSafe about what we need to do in terms of recommendations before we move people and staff back into that unit.
Is the medical centre at Western Plains operational?
Health staff, so GEO Health from Barwon, are providing healthcare to the men that are at Western Plains.
Okay. How many corrections staff were employed to secure Western Plains prior to prisoners being moved in, or before it being populated?
I think it was being ramped up. So I know we initially had a few dozen, then it went to 100 plus. And then obviously in the last few months, because we're ramping up, I made an announcement in January. I'm not sure if you're familiar. That's when I announced middle of the year it's ready to go. So now we've got hundreds of staff, because obviously we're getting ready for a few weeks and a full opening, really, in July.
Yep. Yeah. So how many staff were there to secure it when there was no one there? Before the phase of ramping up?
That specific question I will take on notice, but we have sufficient staff at Western Plains right now to operate 2 communities, so 312 men. We also had the staff from Barwon also go over to Western Plains, given they knew the men that were being transferred, to support Western Plains staff as well.
Okay, thank you. Going to the Metro Remand Centre, 400 beds at Metro and allegedly some at Barwon have been left to rot and uninhabitable due to some toxic mould. Will these be rectified as part of the $727 million package?
I might be able to take that on, Ms. Benham. So I think you're talking about the prison infill program. I think we had an infill program to modernise some of the facilities across our prisons. It was at 5 sites. 2 of those sites were completed, so Margony and Middleton. So those beds are being used, they're in the system. MRC is one of the sites where the contract's effectively not complete or not complete to the quality we'd expect. So there's a bit of ongoing So it's not part of the community safety package. The community safety package is about ramping up beds, obviously at Western Plains and other sites as well. But what MRC, the beds you're talking about, because there was reporting of mould, that's not part of this announcement.
But the reports of mould are valid?
Look, these are, like I said, they're not complete. So the issues with that upgrade is still being worked out. To be frank, the department and the secretary is with me could probably say we've got legal representation and we're working through that. And we need to be careful what we can say because it's not my intention to waive legal privilege today here, but what I can confirm is that we expect those projects to be completed to the quality set out in the contract.
And when will they be completed?
They're not yet complete. So Margaret Middleton's complete, MRC it's not complete, and we're working through those contracts. We've engaged lawyers, so there's obviously, it's a legal matter now, but let me repeat, it's my expectations that they're completed to the quality in the contract.
But when, Minister, there will be a ramp up with new bail laws coming in, there will be an increased need for remand beds. Do we have a timeline on when we can expect?
I think we have, like I said, physical capacity in our men's system, we're well placed. So there's beds at other sites as well. Even at our private prisons also have an ability to ramp up, as well as our public prisons. So we have the physical capacity. It's about making sure our announcement was about getting more staff to work in the system, having the right people on the right posts. And that's what I'm focused on, and that's why the announcement was key. And I don't know if many of you would have seen, $8,000 sign-on bonus to work in public prisons is a big factor. I know that the department tells me there's been a lot of interest already.
So have those beds been written off? And with the increased need that is on the cards, has there been discussions with the Police Association of Victoria Police about using in-station remand for overflow?
Apologies, Ms. Benham. We're going to Ms. Cathergy.